Okay, so my name is Max. I can be found streaming erratically over at twitch.tv/tuck_Lacante. I'll link that in the description to the video. And today I'll be showing you my Flicker Strike build on Torment League. Now, the thing about Flicker Strike is it's a softcore thing, but it's fun. Generally speaking, people will play it with a dagger, they will go crit, they will go physical damage, equip an Abyssus, and die to Fizz Reflect, but do a lot of damage. Now, I didn't really want to die to Reflect, so the idea behind this build is to use Frenzy Charges for a lot of different things. I am using Hyaon's Fury as my weapon. This has an absurd amount of lightning damage, as you can see. It goes up to 600, and it is a sword with 5% base crit chance, so you don't really go crit with this. It does three different things with frenzy charges. It gives you increased damage taken per frenzy charge, so not entirely hardcore viable, I'd say. It gives you 12% increased lightning damage per frenzy charge. This applies to spells as well as attacks, so you could technically make a spellcaster with this if you acquired frenzy charges. And it gives you 20 life on kill per frenzy charge. Sounds interesting enough. Now, I combine this with the Blood Dance. It's a pair of boots that you probably know. And this also does things with frenzy charges. It gives you increased movement speed per frenzy charge, which is nice. It actually reduces the effect of the frenzy charges by 3%. Normally they give 5% attack speed and cast speed, but now they will only give 2%. And probably the most important thing is they give 1% life regen per frenzy charge. So the more charges you have, the more life regen you have. And then you also have a chance to get a frenzy charge on kill, which is nice but not necessary, and it gives you some extra damage against enemies on low life frenzy charge, which is nice but not necessary. Now, Flicker Strike, as you may know, if you look at the gem here, you bypass the cooldown of it by expending a frenzy charge. So I will be generating a lot of frenzy charges, and every time I want to flicker I will have to use one. The most common way to do this, to generate frenzy charges, is of course by Blood Rage, which gives you a frenzy charge on kill. So every time you kill an enemy you gain a frenzy charge, and as long as you do enough damage you can keep flicker striking. Now, something that is sometimes overlooked is Flicker Strike actually gains increased attack speed per frenzy charge. It is 10% at the moment, but at the level 20 gems this will increase to 15%, which is an insane buff. So this gives me a lot of attack speed. If you look at the charges tab here, you see that I have a maximum of 8 frenzy charges, which don't give me as much attack speed as regular frenzy charges because I have the Blood Dance. But Flicker Strike will gain 12% increased attack speed effectively per frenzy charge, so with 8 that is hard to calculate, but about 96% increased attack speed. Since I'm playing an elemental damage build, attack speed is the best way to scale my damage. Now for damage, I am using Herald of Thunder and Wrath to increase my lightning damage. And then I'm also running Purity of Lightning for style points. Now, gear-wise, I would say the required uniques, or the required gear, is of course this sword, Hyaon's Fury. You can't really make the build work without it, because it has so much to do with the frenzy charges, and a pair of Blood Dance. I bought a corrupted pair which has +1 maximum frenzy charge, which is nice to have but is not necessary. This build works just fine with 7 frenzy charges. And then for my chest I am using a lightning coil. This is for, well, style points, because this increases, it has lightning damage on a chest, and this is the only chest that has lightning damage. But it also makes me a bit tankier, which is necessary, because with 8 frenzy charges I am taking 3% extra damage per frenzy charge, 24% increased damage taken, which is significant. So the rest of my gear, this one is kind of important. This is a Doriani's Invitation. It has a max lightning damage roll, and it's corrupted to have avoid shock chance. as I have a lightning coil, physical damage can shock me, so being able to avoid that about 1 out of 5 times is a nice thing to have, but it's not necessary. The rest of my gear is just rares with high life, resistances, and a decent amount of evasion. I'm using a shield, which has about 800 evasion right now, has some chaos resistance. My amulet is just garbage with intelligence, chaos resistance, life, and I added lightning damage to it. This ring just has life, some attack speed, resists, and I added lightning damage to it. This ring has lightning damage, increased ally damage, life, resistances, and was expensive as I won't say that word. And then my gloves have life, resistances, and lightning damage, and I think you can see a trend here. Now looking at the links I have, my aura setup is in this pair of energy shield gloves because otherwise it would be really hard to get the blue-red links. So just reduce mana, Herald of Thunder, Wrath, and Purity of Lightning. And the main link, I think you kinda need a 5 link to make this work, otherwise you won't have the damage, is Flicker Strike, linked to Blood Magic, because I only have 52 mana and no regen on the tree. Weapon Alley for damage, Melee Splash, and Multi-Strike, because with Flicker Strike, Multi-Strike, each flicker will go off 3 times, and with Melee Splash it obviously deals splash damage. So with each cast of Flicker Strike, or each attack you could say, you can target a lot of different monsters, which really helps in getting actual kills and allowing you to replenish your frenzy charges. Further on I have a single target skill, which is Frenzy, which helps me start off by just generating some frenzy charges, linked to faster attacks, blood magic, and weapon elemental damage. And then in my helmet I have a cast for damage taken setup with Immortal Call, Enduring Cry, and currently it has Poacher's Mark, which I'm not too happy with, but getting 4 red sockets on an evasion helmet is kind of hard, so it'll have to do for now. My weapon has Leap Slam, faster attacks, blood magic, and then here I have Elemental Weakness, Blood Rage, and again blood magic, because I could cast it on mana, but I don't want to, so I'm using blood magic. And then for flasks, I'm using 2 instant flasks because I have an absurd amount of life regen, 460 life regen because of the blood dance. So I just want to refill my life as fast as possible. This one dispels shocked, which is nice to have, and then you need a new bleed flask obviously, so I put that on this one. I have a Quicksilver with a lot of movement speed because gotta go fast. I have a Topaz Flask with Curse Removal, which is nice to have. You could use a Taste of Hate here to have even more tankiness, and then I'm using Inexorious Promise because, yeah, it's a really good flask. It gives me a leech, it gives me damage, and it helps against Reflect. Now, that pretty much covers the gear. The passive tree, I started off as a Shadow. You can make this build as a Templar, which I think is a quite nice mental image of seeing a Templar flickering around, as you will see me do in a moment. Grabbing elemental damage because this buffs our attacks as well as Herald of Thunder damage. Going over here, lightning damage. This actually has increased melee damage, so this is really nice even for elemental builds. Grab life and attack speed. Grab the weapon lightning damage, which is amazing for this build. And then we start off on a trek. We grab life, we grab frenzy charges, I pick up acrobatics, more frenzy charges, Omdar's Guile because it's OP as shit, we'll grab more life, a little bit into the range tree for life regen, attack speed, chance to avoid being stunned is also really nice. I'll explain these later. You go down here, in the duelist tree we pick up just a few things. We get attack speed and the ignore movement penalties from armor, which I think is the best node on the tree, some more life regen, the final frenzy charge because we need that, and then eventually we go through here, grab life, resolute technique because we don't go crit and I have no accuracy, and then in the Templar tree we get pretty much the rest of our elemental damage, Celestial Punishment, Celestial Judgment because hey, they're really good. Devotion, increased effective buffs on you, this is really nice. By the way, if someone knows if this increases the degen you get from Blood Rage, please let me know because I am thinking about Inner Force, and if it does, then not that good. We grab Elementalist for more LE damage, grab life, grab melee damage and attack speed again. This is a really good node for this build. And then some more life regen here and these weapon LE nodes. I'm currently level 86 with this build, and I'm picking up these life and evasion nodes to kind of round it out. After that, I don't know, let's see how far we get. One thing I haven't mentioned is I have 1 point in the shield defense node and 2 points here in these. This gives me 60%, 50% and 40% increased defenses from a shield, so that's 150% shielded defenses for only 3 points. So this is like attack speed, which is useful, it's not amazing. The reason I get this is my evasion rating is 7,000, but when I unequip my shield it drops to 4,000. So with a 700 base evasion shield, that's giving me 3,000 evasion basically for 4 points, which is really efficient. That pretty much covers the passive tree. I leveled with Fire Trap and Ball Lightning, and because you can't really use this sword before level 62 and then Lightning Coil is 60, so you kind of need to level as something else. Now I will run it in a map quickly, just so you see how it works. This is a mine map with a 72. I kind of created this build because I wanted something that could clear low to medium maps in a fun, efficient and not too boring way, because if I run courtyards and palaces all day, I just get bored. So to start off, you just punch a few mobs, so you get frenzy charges up here, you cast Blood Rage, and then you hold down, in my case, right mouse button. As you can see, this is a little bit crazy. That is the nature of Flicker Strike. A few things you should keep in mind with Flicker Strike is it will desync. You just kind of have to embrace this. I have an OOS macro on my keyboard. You should probably get one as well if you're interested in this build. And maybe during this clearing of this map I can show you what can happen is Flicker Strike can actually desync you so hard that even typing /OOS will not resync you. But I don't know if that's going to happen. Now basically with 8 frenzy charges I can deal almost 7k top end lightning damage and then a little bit of physical, but we don't do physical damage. The frenzy DPS is 19k, that is without the Atzeri Flask. And yeah, you just kind of bounce around and do a lot of damage. My frenzy charges, if you look at top left, don't really go below 6 usually, because of melee splash and multi-strike. And for a 72 map, I'd say this clears quite nicely. This is an annoying one, because when allies cannot die, kinda have to hope the melee splash kills the rare, and then you can continue onwards. Just gotta keep an eye on the frenzy charges. And what you don't see while you're flickering around is Herald of Thunder is actually killing monsters and doing damage, and it does a pretty good amount of damage. Like, these guys are getting zapped. What I didn't mention on the tree, which I should have done, but of course I didn't prepare properly, is on the tree I have a small amount of shock chance. I have 5% here, 5% there, and 5% there, so I only have 15%, but with a Doriani's Invitation this goes up to 25% when you use a flask, so that's plenty to proc Herald of Thunder, because the top end on your lightning damage is insane. On Frenzy it goes up to, well, I can show you, I haven't actually checked, with 8 frenzy charges. 8 frenzy charges, you can deal 10k lightning damage at the top end, which may sound scary, but I'm actually completely fine against Reflect, because the damage is predictable. I'm not crit, there's no giant spikes in damage, and I can actually run Elemental Reflect maps. I'd rather not, because it does make me leech a little bit less from Doriani's, or I mean the leech is kind of mitigated by the Reflect, and your cast one damage taken will just go absolutely crazy. which it's not that great because you kind of override your elemental weakness if there's lightning resistant monsters, which is the one weakness of this build, is monsters that have high lightning resistance, and there's a few too many of them in my opinion. Such as necromancers, they have a ton of lightning resistance, over 50, so it can take a while to kill those. Just show this quick strongbox, see how that works. There you go. And that's basically the build. You flicker around, kill a bunch of things. You can see my life regen right here is 518. I can't really run Righteous Fire off of that, but it would be cool if that could still work with like Crown of Eyes and stuff. It would be insane. But yeah, that's basically the build, and if you enjoyed it, try it out.